now let's talk about what was really going on. Take us back to OJ Simpson in Buffalo in the 80s. Tell us about his coke problem.
70s.
The 70s.
Sure.
Tell us about who he started running around with, his connection to the mob, his coke habit, and how that all comes together that night at Bundy.
That's a lot. I'll try to give it to you short. A woman wrote a book. Her name was Sheila Weller. She wrote a book called Raging Heart. Raging Heart is the best book to read to understand OJ's relationships with the mob guys. Joe Stellini and how he met him and how he met Rob Kardashian and who Rothschild was. And there's a Tom I forgot his last name, McCullum and all these guys. Okay. Here's the short answer. When OJ goes to Buffalo, this is early 70s. He only went to college for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 years at JUCO, 2 years at USC.
And then gets drafted by Buffalo.
Number 1.
Yep.
Okay. And he's already meeting these shady LA mob guys right away.
In Buffalo?
In LA.
Okay.
In LA.
Okay.
In Buffalo, he knew a couple guys, Butch Sukarski, Mike Militello. They owned a club. They were looked at for cocaine. He knew these guys. What I'm trying to get at is it's not rip roaring yet. His real mob stuff is early 90s.
Okay.
It's not going to be like in the 70s. He's like a kid, man.
Right. Okay.
He's a kid.
Okay. So do you think his coke problem got worse when he retired, after he retired?
Supposedly he was always up and down because OJ will tell you he never does coke. He would tell you, if he was still alive today, he will tell you with a straight face, I done it like twice in 30 years. Lie. So he was supposedly using it in the 70s. There was a couple instances where he was being investigated, and so was Mike Militello. Butch Sukarski got murdered by the mob in Miami in 94, right after the murders. What a coincidence.
Wow.
How does he know Butch Sukarski? It's called Casey's Nickelodeon. Look up the murders. It was a triple murder. He was killed with 2 other girls.
And were those mob guys that were selling coke to OJ?
Yes, they were Colombian mob killers.
And they were selling coke, these guys that
they were
got
somehow
killed?
involved, yes.
Okay.
So anyway, moving on. So I'm going to take you to Aventura, which is Turnberry Isle. So in the 70s in Buffalo, Buffalo mob was big, the Buffalo crime family. I knew a guy told me OJ was at a restaurant. And he's like, I saw so many mob guys at this restaurant. And then OJ Simpson walked in. He's like, he looked so out of place. And I was like, hey, thanks for telling me the story. So he was having some touching them in the 70s. As the 80s come, now we're going to Turnberry Isle. The playland of the rich in Miami. It was called Aventura, Turnberry Isle.
And that's a neighborhood in Miami?
It's a resort.
Okay.
All the rich, famous, Donna Rice scandal came out of there. Gary Hart, all the rich, famous men used to go there for the girls, pretty girls, and the drugs. And they used to joke, oh, the 30th floor and up is all mob. Like in the building, like if you went past this floor, all mafia. The place was built by the mob. Don Sofer. Now, who does OJ thank in his suicide letter? Don Sofer. Why? Thanks B. Wayne Hughes. These are his golf buddies at Aventura, at Turnberry Isle. This is where they hung out and partied, and that's where Joey Ippolito is. And that's where Joey and Charlie, I believe, meet in the 80s.
I see. And that's where they met OJ. Okay. So OJ was always kind of brushing shoulders with these white collar criminals, with these white collar mob guys.
Basically, their vice was drugs and beautiful women.
Yeah.
So put them together. They're at Aventura in Miami.
And I can totally see that because OJ, again, was like the black guy that was always running in white guy circles.
The guy could get more women than you could shake a stick at in his sleep.
That too. Yeah. And
his sleep.
He wasn't jealous of Nicole.
He slept with Farrah Fawcett. I'm going to say it right now. And he slept with Elizabeth Shue.
Nice.
And I'm going to put that out there because I know their people are going to go crazy and I want them to come forward. So, and Tawny Katane. And OJ had a lot of, look, we know a lot of white women like black men. They did. Okay. So now the golfing, the drugs, the boats. Now remember the boats, Don Aronow, Joey Ippolito, Ben Kramer, Bobby Sacenti. These are the cocaine cowboys, Sal Magluta, right? Willie Falcone. I met some of these guys. They knew it too. Oh yeah, OJ. I have a picture of OJ buying a speedboat from Thomas Adams Well, what happened to Thomas Adams 4 weeks later? He got murdered, gunned down by Colombians. So the Colombians dealt the coke to the mob through Miami. Now, if you remember, even when the case started and they go, well, Colombian drug lords did the killing. Well, it's partially true, isn't it? Like there's a connection there.
So the OJ connection is he likes to be in this scene with all these hot women and he likes good coke. And the mob has the good coke. They're getting it from the Colombians.
And the girls.
Right.
They run prostitution. Right. They run all the clubs.
Yeah. And he's world famous now.
And they love
that. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Did he ever introduce drug dealers to distributors? Like, did he ever introduce coke dealers to like guys that wanted to get in the game?
Are we talking about the 80s or are we talking 94? Like right before the murders?
Either one.
Let's focus on the murders. Okay. So basically the way through Charlie's confession, through his tape evidence, the book he was supposed to write, all the stuff I discovered about Joey Ippolito, his brothers, the families, the mob, all the stuff that we go into. Joey was giving OJ kickbacks for introducing celebrities and athletes to him to purchase drugs. Okay. That's right before the murders, maybe even years before. I can't hard confirm how much drug dealing was done before, let's say 93 and 94.
Why would OJ, who's got a ton of money still in 94?
He doesn't.
Why?
He doesn't play football anymore.
Yeah, but he's got Hertz commercials, sponsorships. I mean, did he blow it all?
But let's remember, these football guys did not make that much money in the 70s. Go look at what they made compared to today. Go look at what Patrick Mahomes makes today to what OJ was paid as the number one pick. I think he made $250,000. Now, granted, back then, that's probably $3 or $4 million. It's not $50 million. Like, so what my point is, he didn't have that much money. That's why Charlie tells you that. He needed to fill in these gaps because Charlie tells you the reasoning behind like the money situation. You feel me?
How do you know that?
Because that's in the confession.
Okay, that's in Charlie's confession.
It's in the screenplay and it's on the tape.
Interesting.
That OJ still needed to make money. He had a lot of bills. He owed Nicole $30,000 a month in child support.
Yeah, of course.
And he was not making that. He tells you that in his book too. In chapter 6, before like Charlie even shows up, he goes into the story of like, I'm not what I used to be. My body's breaking down. I'm not making as much money as I used to make, but I'm a fighter. I'm a hustler. I'm going to keep going. Wow. And then a car shows up. Oh, whose car is that? That's how he leads you. I didn't talk to my dad for 10 years. He's trying to tell you like in about 2 minutes, my life is going to change forever. He's reminiscing. It's fascinating. Chapter 6 is a fascinating chapter. But so
he kind of needed money still.
Remember, so Nicole's doing coke. Faye Resnick's doing coke. They're all doing coke. The whole town's on cocaine. So what better to have the best Colombian puro cocaine in the world is at your house with the hottest chicks you've ever seen. Think about that.
So OJ might have been like the gateway to good coke for all the celebrities in LA at the time.
Ippolito used Ehrlich to run the coke from Miami to him. Joey's the alpha male. He threatened to murder Ehrlich before. He already threw him in a trunk. He was almost murdered. They tell you that in the screenplay. They tell you that on the tape. And so Ippolito was using OJ because he's giving OJ free. And he basically is bringing the women and the actors, and OJ's getting paid to introduce Joey. Okay, so
hold on, finish that.
So Joey is using OJ for the customers.
Right. Introduce me to your celebrity friends
who have a coke problem.
Yeah. And I will
give you $10,000 every freaking 2 seconds. Like Joey had like horses. He owned like boats. These guys were loaded. You know this. You have experience with this.
Okay. So it's, I got it. So just to summarize this connection, it's the New Jersey based mob operating in Miami that's sourcing the cocaine from the Colombians and in LA distributing those drugs
with the bananos
through celebrities Two celebrities through OJ Simpson.
Yes, with other mob families. So Joey's also using Lucchese and Bonanno.
Okay.
And that's why he gets busted with Lucchese and Bonanno guys.
So is that eventually what happened to Joey Ippolito?
Yes, he was pinched, and James Caan went to his trial and said, I'll put up my house. James Caan was mob.
Wow.
Yes.
Did he get pinched in L.A.?
92, he was pinched with Ronnie Lorenzo, Operation Lassima, LA Sicilian Mafia. You can look it up. It's online. And James Caan had to go to the trial and say, this is my guy. He would never do anything like that. James Caan was mob. So was his father.
So, and Ippolito died in prison?
No, Ippolito died of terminal brain cancer in 2006. He went to jail in and out. He was an informant.
Okay.
He kept getting out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. All right. So that's the guy that OJ's getting his coke from. And he's got basically a worker. What would you call him? A bagman?
They call him the ghost. Charlie's the ghost.
So, but what was his function for Ippolito? Was he a made guy, or was he just?
I don't think he's made, because they say the Jews couldn't be made, so he's Jewish. So they try to. That's why we say Genovese crime family, Meyer Lansky, because they became the Genovese. That's the OG. The Jews created the mafia with the Italians. People don't give them that credit. They did. Meyer Lansky was a kingpin. Okay, and Luciano was part of them. Anyway. So what I'm saying is Joey and Charlie, he calls Charlie the ghost. You run the stuff. You're behind the scenes. You bring me the keys to the car. In the trunk is loaded with cocaine. You come and you physically hand me the keys. So Ehrlich would fly from Miami as the runners, the Colombians, are running it to LA. It's all described in the confession.
So he was the handler. He was the guy that was handling everything for Joey in LA.
I call him the ghost, or you might call him the runner. Right? Okay. He's kind of the runner. Joey's the front man.
For Ippolito in LA.
50 kilos a month.
Okay. Got it. So this is a multi-million-dollar a year
beyond
operation.
anything you could imagine.
And OJ was getting 10% of that.
Sure. Whatever. He was like, I don't know exactly.
He was like, but it's conceivable. He was making hundreds of thousands of dollars by basically being the agent for these coke dealers.
Being the coolest guy in town. Right. That you have the biggest, best coke in the game. But the problem is that Joey Ippolito is a snake.
Okay.
That's the problem. He brought the wolf to the hen house.
Where is Charlie from? Charlie Ehrlich.
New York.
Okay. So.
But he lives in Miami.
Okay. So he becomes friends with, would you call them friends?
He barely knew OJ. He just met him.
Really?
Yep. 3 months before.
Why just met him?
He was in jail.
Okay.
He was in jail for like 7.5 years, from like 87 to like 93. It's very hard to pin when he got out. Right when he gets out, Ippolito goes, why don't you come work for me and be the ghost? He's like, I hate LA. That's why he tells the story. He talks like this. I didn't want to go to LA.
Right.
Why'd you go to LA? Because they're making millions of dollars.
Right.
And he's afraid of Joey too.
Okay.
Joey was, dude, this guy, I'm telling you, not many people know his name. And I know a lot of the mob guys, I love those guys. I know some of those guys. Joey is on another level, man, with the OJ thing. He's the legend.
Yeah, well, because he's from the New Jersey mob, which nobody talks about.
Right. They don't get the respect, but they were very close to Meyer Lansky. They were. That boat running operation was Meyer, and Sam the plumber was involved in that too. He's De Cavalcante. That's him. So they try to downplay. I just watched an interview where they go, oh, the New Jersey, we didn't care about the New Jersey mob. Dude, those guys were way connected, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually buy all of this. I buy that OJ, is spending more than he's bringing in. And really this coke money, this coke commission money is really helping him stay solvent. So Charlie Ehrlich meets OJ 3 months before June 12th when the murders go down.
In the confession how they meet at Rockingham. Hey, I'm AC. Hey, I'm OJ. Hey, Charlie, come in. I want you to meet somebody. Joey was staying at OJ's house.
Joey was?
Wow. On and off. Well, because remember, Nicole's gone.
Right.
The kids are with Nicole. He's getting, he's scheduling it out. He lives alone.
Is he partying with Nicole? Like Nicole's doing coke?
They're still dating at the very end. They still dated. It's hard to explain. Even after their divorce, Nicole got back together with OJ about a year later. So for 2.5 years, they're divorced, right? For the first year, she's playing around a little bit. The last year, she gets back with OJ, but she's also sleeping with Marcus Allen.
Who is who?
Marcus Allen, the running back.
Marcus Allen. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And OJ told her, if you sleep with Marcus Allen, I'll kill you.
What about Ron Goldman? Do we know for sure that they were sleeping together? Who is this kid?
If you want to ask me and go into it, there's things I know about him that no one's ever heard. I could talk about today if you want.
Yes, please.
They were not lovers. They only hung out 3 times.
And they met at that restaurant he was working at?
There's 50 stories of how they met. They met at a gym first, then they met at Starbucks. I guess they met at a gym. There was a gym in Brentwood. I believe that's where they met.
How do you know they weren't sleeping together?
Well, the way I say it is this. There's no proof that they did. Okay. Yeah. Now, in the discovery file, I will say this. I'll give you an exclusive because I appreciate you having me on. I have a statement from one of Ron's friends that no one's ever seen. It's not, you can never get it. I have it from one of his friends that talks about Nicole talking to him on the phone for a few nights and that Ron was in love with Nicole Brown Simpson.
Right. So, but they had just met basically. They'd only been out a few times.
He asked her to go back to his place one time. He tried to get with Nicole.
Okay.
And you're the first person to ever hear that.
Okay. So what is he doing there that night?
He's bringing back the glasses that Judita Brown dropped on the sidewalk at Mezzaluna.
Okay. So Mezzaluna is the restaurant that Nicole was eating at.
Had her last supper at.
Right. Before she came back to her house on
and
Bundy.
Ron was working that night as he's a waiter at Mezzaluna.
Who was she there at Mezzaluna
Her family. There was a recital.
Okay.
It was after the recital at the Paul Revere School. OJ was there. Ron Fishman's the famous story. And then they go to Mezzaluna for dinner. Right. OJ's supposed to go, but they don't invite him. Right. So he's mad. I mean, this is all the classic.
And of course, he's on so much blow.
His toxicology report, all of their toxicology reports come back negative. Just so you know, I have it.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, technically, but remember, blow leaves your system in 24 hours.
That's true.
So did they do it the night before? Maybe. Right. Did the LAPD mess up the top? Who knows?
OJ Simpson didn't need blow to be crazy.
It's all negative. So I'll just stick up for that.
So do you believe, in your best estimation, that story about him returning the glasses to her house is true?
Yes.
So that means,
and everyone says he's a drug dealer and he had a pager and he was slinging cocaine and so was Brett Cantor and so was Michael Nigg.
Why is he working as a waiter though?
It's man, I'm telling you, like when I'm glad you are opening this Pandora's box. This OJ thing is the craziest stuff you've ever heard in your life. The people that are going to comment on your thing are completely gone. Okay. So be ready for those comments in the thing, which is fine. But I'm saying this thing is a monster. It is a spider web.
Hang on. So he must have known Ron Goldman. How did he know where Nicole lived?
I don't think he'd ever been at Nicole's house, to be honest. I really don't. Now, here's the way he would know is because Nicole calls and goes, "Can you bring the glasses by?" And
so Mezzaluna must have been right down the street.
Oh yeah, it's close. Yeah. So Nicole calls and says, "My mom, Judita, calls Nicole first and says, I think I left my glasses at Mezzaluna." Okay.
Who's Judita?
Home. Judith Brown. They call her Judita. She was German. They call her Judita.
Okay.
So that's Nicole's mom.
Oh, I see.
So they all go to dinner with them. She drops the glasses. Right. Okay, let me call Mezzaluna. She calls Karen Crawford. Karen Crawford says, okay, I'll put them in an envelope. Sounds good. Something happens. There's like another call. And then she goes, oh, wait, Ron's working.
Right.
Now she calls back and goes, hey, can I talk to Ron? He's just doing her a favor, man. And he goes, can you bring the glasses by my house? She probably gives him the address. I don't think he was ever at her house.
Oh, poor kid. I hope he got the before he died, but it doesn't sound like it. So
I could be wrong. I mean,
it doesn't really matter though. It doesn't really matter to
he was obviously
the facts
infatuated with her.
Yeah.
Obviously,
of course.
Of course.
It sounds like it may have become something.
A dude in the 90s.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean,
but it sounds like it could have become something. It could have been but she was definitely sleeping with Marcus Allen. Was OJ, but you said in another interview, I heard you say that OJ would not have cared if she was sleeping with someone else.
Because the reason I say that too is because OJ had cheated on Nicole so many times, okay, that you almost have to side with Nicole for a minute and OJ also did say, there's times OJ, man, he was like this, man. Like sometimes he was super chill. Oh, I didn't care. She told me she slept with Marcus Allen. She did. She took him to dinner and said, he's not your friend. And she was crying. And he's like, what are you talking about? And OJ took it well. He did. He didn't haul off and belt her. Right. Like he said, I don't want to know. And she's like, Marcus isn't your friend. And he's like, why are you telling? Nicole was torturing this guy too, man. She kept telling him what she was doing. And they had some weird pact like, oh, we have to tell each other. Come on, man, that's sick. I don't want to know what you're doing with Marcus Allen. And then they tell stories about his size of his, you know what, and they say it in the book and they talk about
unit?
that. Yeah.
Okay. So that still doesn't, I don't really accept that. I think he cares if he walks in on Nicole with another man at the house.
Well, it sets him off when he sees Ron Goldman at the front gate, right?
Especially a white boy.
A white boy, you know? Good looking, wearing the stylish clothing. Yeah. He's standing there, you know, talking. She's barefoot in the skimpy black dress. Yeah. And he's just got extorted. One or two mafia guys showed up. A mob guy just showed up and goes, yo, it's a bunch of money. Right. And he's supposed to get on a red eye. And guess who breaks up with him in the morning at 7 a.m.? Paula Barbieri leaves him a Dear John message that she's leaving him. Okay. This guy had the worst day in history.
Okay. Well, I think Nicole had a worse one, but okay. So, all right. So we're now setting the stage for what happened. What happens next? What is Charlie doing at OJ's house at this time when they go down to confront Nicole at 10:30?
It's like 10. It's a little after 10:05.
Okay.
We can never get the exact time. Charlie told us a time. He one time said he was there at 9:30 a.m. It doesn't make sense. They're at McDonald's with Cato. I think he was just trying to say like, I was there an hour before the murders and he's trying to confuse you.
9:30 p.m.
Yeah. 9:30. Because
but there's also a witness. Didn't a neighbor hear Goldman saying, hey.
That's at 10:37, 10:38.
Okay, so how long do you think this whole interaction took?
Well, here, let's go walk it through.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so
what was Ehrlich doing at OJ's house?
I want to tell it through OJ's eyes.
All right.
So OJ tells you, I looked at my watch, it was 10:03 p.m. The reason he says 10:03 p.m., because that's when he called Paula Barbieri for the last time to reconcile with her. She went to Vegas with Michael Bolton. Okay?
Nice.
So he goes, I looked at my watch. It was 10:03 p.m. Maybe Charlie was right. It wasn't my fault. It was Nicole's fault. I had just enough time to read her the riot act because Charlie showed up. He's there. It's hard to explain. Charlie shows up at about 10 p.m. Okay. You owe us some money. Joey wants his money. Okay. OJ's like, what are you doing? He's chipping golf balls in his front yard. Like, what's going on? What are you doing, man? What are you talking about? Where's Joey at? Oh, Joey just wants his money. He's got bosses. We all got bosses. So this sets OJ off, right? Now, when I say the 10:03, I'm talking about the book. When he says in the book, I just had just enough time to go read her the riot act. So what he's saying in his head is, let's go to Nicole's. Charlie, get in the Bronco.
Okay, so Charlie showed up unannounced to OJ's house. Like, so there was some coke debts out there.
By everyone you're close to, OJ, everybody. You guys owe us money. It's an extortion.
But why would OJ, what's OJ's business? Like, why is that OJ's business? Isn't he just...
Because he's the one you can be extorted. He's famous.
Right.
He's got the money. Where are they going to go? Tell Nicole and Faye you owe us $50,000. Where are they going to get their money from? OJ? No, right. It's a classic mob setup. You go to the famous guy who can't run anybody else. Where's he going to go? He's going to go to the cops? Oh, this mob guy is threatening to out me for cocaine. So
there's a bunch of celebrities that owe these mob guys money for coke.
You ever hear the story of Robin Williams? Where
hang on. I don't care about that.
Sorry.
So I don't, that's tough for me. Okay. I know coke's expensive, but like they owe $50,000 in coke money, $100,000 in coke money to these mob guys.
Extortion. They don't owe it. It's a setup.
So
ask your mob guys. Ask your boys.
I don't need to ask. Okay. No, you know I don't need to ask these guys. I know. No, I don't know what you're saying. Okay, mob guys don't act like this.
Okay, go ahead.
This is not a thorough. The mob guys I've had on this show would never do this. They
would never extort someone?
Not if they got a hustle like this, selling coke to people with big money. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Let's do the showdown because I like you and you're a respectful guy. Ready? Let's do the showdown. Do you think mob guys extort people?
Yes.
Okay. So then why would it be different if Joey Ippolito extorts OJ Simpson?
Because they're making huge money out of him. They're making mob guys. If that's a business, yeah, they shake down businesses in their neighborhood that's on a collection route. Sure.
Okay.
But if they're making money through a construction company that's whether it's legal or illegal and the money's flowing, they don't just then go pull like a strong arm move. Unless something's gone really bad for them.
Well,
do you know what I mean? It's like a drug dealer. I'm
yeah.
selling drugs to you. Okay. This is the best way to describe it. Forget about if they're mobbed up or not. You are my drug customer. I'm selling you drugs. Why do I then go and rob you as my customer? Unless you owe me a bunch of money, right? What I'm saying is it seems fishy to me that I would let a bunch of Hollywood celebrities run up drug debts. Crackheads in the ghetto, yes. Pay me back when your government check comes on the 1st and the 15th. That's how you keep the clientele up.
Yeah.
But why am I letting, why am I letting all of these celebrities run up huge debts?
Okay, here's how I'll say how Ehrlich says it too.
Okay.
In the confession and the story and all the whole thing. Okay. So when Ehrlich shows up, he goes, Joey wants you guys, your payments are a little overdue. That's verbatim. Okay. So he's saying to OJ, Nicole, Faye, tries to throw out Keith Z's name from Mezzaluna, who slept with Nicole. These mob guys, look, they're kind of scumbags. Like, I'm just going to say it in a way. Ippolito, you could say, is desperate for money. He's on the run, right? Remember, he's a fugitive right now. In June of 94, he is a fugitive from Pensacola. I can prove that, and that's in the public domain. Okay. So he sends Ehrlich over there, go get my money. Go get me some money from OJ. I'm not saying they're going to burn OJ's house down to the ground, but these mob guys, that's what they do. So if they go up to him and maybe look at it this way too, what if they're done with OJ? What if they're tired of him? What if they're tired of Nicole and Faye and Keith and the Mezzaluna guys? And so they just want money. And I know what you're saying. Trust me. I can't speak for like Joey Ippolito of why you're right. If he's doing everything good, why would you want to go piss him off? Right. I get it. But I know another guy too that had a gun stuck in his mouth in Miami that Joey set up too. Why did Joey pinch that guy? He was making him money too. Like they rob each other, man. They,
Okay. Well, look, we have to, this is what we have to go on.
Sure.
So we kind of have to accept this in a way, right? Clearly there's enough physical evidence of an accomplice that's irrefutable. The motive to me is something that we may never know.